Hello, gamers. I'm Gloryhound, and this is
Dr. Gloryhogg. Dr. Gloryhogg! Nice, I nailed it.
And this is the I'd Back That Kickstarter show. I hope all of you in chat are having a wonderful day today. Who do we have?
Fake it.
Fake it until you make it. That's something you should live by with like all things. That's like a legit thing.
We have Omar on here fighting to urge the back. He wants to back Freedom 5, but trying to stop. Good luck. Good luck. There's a lot of really good games.
There's so many good games out right now. So we have Silver Liam in chat. We have Omar in chat. Jim Garner, Battle Cry, Kabuki Kid. Hello, how are you doing? Battle Cry is in chat. Petter, it's so nice to see all of you here today.
Kabuki Kid, Games of Fire.
Hello, Games of Fire. So,
what are you doing? Don't do it.
There's too many Kickstarters. There's too many Kickstarters.
Why do you have a pencil in your hair?
Don't touch my pencil.
Is that there for a reason?
It's my sacred pencil. You see this? You see this pencil? This is...
Is that the one from Japan that cost 30,000 yen?
No.
I don't even know if that's real measurement.
This is the Blackwing. This is like an iconic pencil. If you know your pencil lore, do you even know your pencil lore, Doctor?
No.
How are you even a doctor?
Not a doctor of pensology, that's for sure.
Maybe that's what I should be, a doctor.
Pencilology? I don't think so.
All right, first up here. What do we have first up? What do we have first up here? Hello, Andrew. How are you doing? Let me get my notes out here. First up, we have Freedom 5. This is by Arcane Wonders. It's for 1 to 5 players. It should last about 90 minutes here. Now, Freedom Fighters is apparently a comic. Who's the comic by? I wrote it down. Sentinel Comics. I have never heard of I've never heard of this comic from Sentinel Comics.
Right.
And I love comics. So I'm excited to know more about like the end lore of this one. But Dr. Gloryhogg, what were your first impressions?
So to me, looking at it, it looks exciting, right? And it's the thing that kind of drew me in was the Sadler brothers and of course Richard Lanius, which we've talked about before.
Oh yeah, that's right. This is made by Richard Lanius.
This is based off of his series that he's already done. Defenders of the Guardians? Guardians of the Defenders? God, I know what it is. I've just looked at it. I've already lost it. But Richard Lanius did another series that has like, I think like 7.8 or something on BGG.
Yeah.
On Board Game Geek. And this is kind of like a comic book version of that, right? So it's like already something that's already been done to a certain degree, right? Like the system's been built, and now they're just adding a different IP to it, which is kind of interesting.
And the system itself had like a 7.8 on BGG, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Very nice.
Defenders of the Reach. Guardians of the Reach.
Just keeps getting stronger and stronger for me.
I need to know what that one is now. I can't remember. It just
Guardians
flew out
of
my
the
brain.
Reach sounds really familiar.
Something like that. It's very close.
So Petter says Sentinels of the Multiverse was created and then the comic came after, I believe.
That's fair.
And Jim, yes, being to Pennsylvania does count. It does make you a pencilologist, okay?
A pencilologist, got it. When you look at this game, though, I feel like there's a lot of, it's sharing that same game space with Marvel Champions, right? Because you have your alter ego, right? You have like your everyday, and then you flip, and you can only do certain things when you're in each mode. So like that part was similar. Of course, comics related. I mean, Defenders of the Realm. There we go.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all. So I think it does share that same kind of game space. Doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad thing because you might not like Marvel. So you might want something that's like less IP based, right? Like less based off of known characters. Because I feel like these characters might be known, or you might be fans of these characters and prefer to play this instead. But I feel like it kind of is in that same game world, if you will. So I wonder how much crossover is there. Like if people that already have a bunch of champions, Marvel champions, if they also think that this is something they also want to add to their collection or not.
Oh, that's interesting. I think this one is very unique in this comic book portion here, where you actually do comic book campaigns where...
True.
As you're going through, it's almost like tandem-wise reading the comic while also playing the game, because you play the game and then you have like little excerpts you read from the comic as you go along and then back and forth as you go. And I love that so much. Like so much.
You like comics a lot,
I like comics in general. Okay, first off, I like comics in general. But being able to add...
Too many pictures, not enough words for me.
Being able to add that visualization.
I'm the thinker of the family. I need lots of words.
Oh gosh. Okay, so
I need to vocabulate.
I also love reading books too, of course. However, I love comic book art, and I really read a lot of comic books whenever I was a kid and stuff. And it's so easy to get a kid into something whenever there's comics involved. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that makes sense.
Or, I mean, it's just so easy, like, because comics are more well-known. Lots of people know comics, so it's so much easier to get people into things whenever you can read this comic book portion with it. What are you laughing about?
Eric's saying that I must just be opposed to fun. No, I guess I was never a kid. I was always just a grumpy old man.
Well, so. You were always a grumpy old man.
I never really got into comics when I was younger, but I mean, that's fine. I mean, it was just different things. I did a lot of reading when I was younger, but I was reading stuff like Lord of the Rings and some other just ridiculous novels that my dad had and stuff. So I did a lot of reading, but I didn't really do a lot of comic book reading. Nobody else in my family was like into it, and I can't think of like any time where I was like, take me to a comic book store so I can read the comics. Like, I just never really happened.
See, I did that.
I feel like they go too quick. I think it's because you spend a lot of time looking at the art and like marveling at it, and what we've learned from whenever I read the same graphic novel as you, I'm just like, oh, okay.
Like, you don't look at the art. Okay. You're just like...
I do, but like quickly.
Like this.
Yeah,
That's how he goes through a comic. It's terrible.
I like to read fast, so then I'm just kind of like, oh, okay.
Terrible.
Okay. I'm like, pretty cool. There's a key on the last page. Boom, done. And then I'm like, and then I get mad that I spent $5 on something that took me like less than 10 minutes to read.
Dare you, Battle Cry? She ages uncontrollably.
That's true. Scored 7 years ago.
So whenever
I was your forefather.
Well, no.
Luke, I am your forefather.
I'm saying.
Did everybody else have to memorize?
Did
everybody else have to memorize the Gettysburg Address like in the 4th grade? Like, I remember having to memorize it and then say it out loud, and I can't for the life of me think of what relevance that had to just being an adult. Like, by learning that, did I gain something? I'm trying to think now. Because I can't repeat it now, just that first part. But I'm pretty sure I had to read like X amount of it.
Are you done? So I can
and I had to memorize all the states and their capitals.
You're muted. All right. So, everyone, whenever I was younger, back in, I think it was like the 90s, and I was in high school and stuff like that, I read a lot of comics because the X-Men were a big thing. And so I like collected all the little cards and stuff for them. And so whenever I say, you know, reminiscing on the past, I still read comics today. There's some fantastic graphic novels out there, but I feel like it's put more, like I buy the big books and everything. You know, there's something different though about going to a comic shop and individually getting each comic and getting a tiny bit of each story as you go along. Like, it's completely different. Doctor, are you done being in jail? Are you done being in jail now?
Am I unmuted?
You are unmuted.
Oh, hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, see, when I was younger, I passed out of my reading proficiency. And I'm not, like, amazing or anything, but a lot of times I'd get stuff done quickly and I was allowed to read. So I was reading, like, The Hobbit and stuff. I got really into Tolkien. So
I'm saying that...
I was reading that a lot during school.
That comics have,
I wasn't allowed to read picture books.
A special feel to it that... For anybody who's ever read comics before, or even just younger generations, I mean, they're pictures. It's a picture book. Who doesn't love pictures in a picture book? And comics are incredibly awesome because you can envision yourself as those characters. Like, it's so amazing. I love it.
I think the problem is that I'm weird because I like my books to be without pictures, and then I like my comics to just be movies or a TV show.
I love being able to add that to a game. Because it completely puts that theme in there of like, I mean, because we played, what was it, Heroes Wanted, I think, which is like another comic book style game.
We have.
And having the feel of that comic that you're reading in tandem with that puts so much more theme on the game as opposed to just like, I'm a comic book character and here's my comic meeple.
Well, I think, and I played Symbols of the Multiverse, which I thought was good, but since I didn't know the characters, I didn't care enough about the characters. I know that's weird. But I think what the advantage of like Marvel Champions is they don't have to have a whole bunch of lore in there because it's already kind of built in, right?
Well, because there's been a gajillion movies.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Which, to be fair, I got most of my lore from movies or television, not from the books themselves. So
Eric's like, so when does Dr. Gloryhogg's Book Corner spinoff podcast launch?
Well, I did finish another book of the Rune Lords, so, and then like I had like Audible, so I was getting like a free book every month, and then like this whole pandemic happened, and so I stopped listening to them because I used to listen to them on my way into work, and so now I have like 15 credits or something crazy.
School, and 7 years ago when I was a kid, back in the day, very long ago.
The biggest thing about this, though, that makes me interested in it is the fact that it's got Richard Launius attached to it. I think that's huge. And then, of course, the Sadler brothers have done a lot of really great stuff, too. When we met Richard Launius, we spent an hour talking about co-op specifically, So I think like, and we went over like our favorites and everything, and like Spirit Island and like Maximum Apocalypse and all these different games. And so I felt like I got a really good idea of who he is and what kind of games he enjoys. And so like that was really fun.
I love that some of their stuff here, like this hollow foil promo pack, like reminds me of like the little card packs back in the day that you broke open for, you collect comic book character cards. Did you do that? Did you collect, chat, did you all collect comic book character cards? Those were the cards I collected.
I had baseball cards, but that's because I just assumed they'd be worth something. And then eventually I just threw them all away because I knew they weren't worth anything.
I think I still have some of these somewhere.
You do. And they're in like little hard plastic cases.
They're in the hard plastic cases. I know I have like Wolverine and the Sandman. Too. They're little hollow cards.
I took them to that comic shop that one time. We took them in and they were like, yeah, these aren't really worth anything. And I was like, oh.
I'm like, I'm keeping them.
Yeah, basically.
I should mount them as some art. That would actually be probably pretty fantastic right now with a bunch of really pretty hollow characters.
What's interesting about this campaign too is that like as they do stretch goals, they keep making the minis bigger. So eventually, if you guys keep funding this, the minis will be life size.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
It'll be the Cthulhu baby all over.
Yeah, that craziness.
Jim says, I have the original set of Marvel cards from the 90s.
That's what she has.
With McFarlane's Spider-Man foil card. Jim knows what I'm talking about. Actually, you know what, Todd, McFarlane actually lives in Phoenix here. I've tried to
casually run into
him. Get a job there before. It did not work out. Did not work out for me.
Huh. Weird.
All right, so
it's interesting. I don't know where this fits on my shelf though. I don't think it's bad. I like Richard Lanius. I like work he's done in his other games. I think it would be fun. I just don't know where it fits on my particular shelf. I think is my biggest issue. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Because we are at the point where it's like one in. Well, we're at the point where it's like 10 in, 1 out. But still, I like to know like where this fits into a certain genre. Like, does it have something that I feel like I don't have or that I absolutely need? And then of course, there's always the rare exceptions where I'm like, I have 1 million in this game, but I don't care. Hype. And I don't quite have it for this one. I think it looks like it's probably gonna be a really great game. I just don't have any direct connection to it without having any of the lore, and I don't know where it fits in our collection.
Okay, all right, that's fair. That's fair. I think this is an interesting looking game. It has a lot of story built into it and everything, and I think that's gonna be like the big highlights of this. And you know, like you said, Richard Lanius being attached to this does move it up there a lot because I do like a lot of his games. So that for me, I was like, AKA McFarlane stocking.
Just trying to casually run into him with your car. Beep, beep. Oh, now
like
that I've hit you, can I get a job?
Like you do.
And so Penner's kind of saying what I think. He's like, with Sentinels, Champions, Marvel United, do you still need it? But it is a superheroes game. So I guess it really just depends on how many I guess for us, since we haven't played through a lot of the Marvel Champions, I'm like so behind on that I'm not looking for another thing that feels like it might be similar.
Still though, with Marvel Champions, you have...
Say something bad about it. I dare you.
No, you have a game that if a comic book was attached to that game, like you said, we already know the story, but if there was a comic book attached to that game, think of how much more fun that game would be. Yeah. Instead of just going through the scenarios and being like, yay, this is a scenario card pack. If each one of those scenario card packs also had like a mini comic in with it. So like you see what's happening beforehand and then like you do the battle and everything and it's like cooperative and you're like, oh, let's get this taken care of, and then you have like the end of what happens.
Well, I'd like to respond. Can you please flip the camera to me?
To you?
Yeah, I want to have an intimate moment with our
intimate moment with everybody. Okay, all right.
If Marvel Champions had a comic book attached to it, I would be meh. I might read it, might not. I don't know. Maybe.
Why are you such a comic hater? Why are you like this? Why are you like this?
I'm excited about comics for like other ones though. Like what was that one game? Oh, like the Dice Throne comic. I read that because it was like a world I felt like I needed more of. But since I know like enough about Marvel, I don't feel like I need more of it. Does that make sense? I know like a lot.
But this one is a whole different world.
Yeah, so. Well, this one makes sense. I would need it because I don't know who these people are. Why I want to play them. I know I'm the worst.
You're the worst.
Listen, I like most fun things. Comics are just not my thing, and I don't know why.
Nosferatu says, not having champions, I'm interested in this. And that makes a difference, too. If you don't have one of those things, this could be something for your collection.
Subscribers? I think anime is okay.
How dare you? You're such a liar. There's plenty of animes you like, Dr. Gloryhougnd. Don't lie to our audience like that, okay?
Okay.
Don't lie to our audience like that. You just watched an anime on your own the other day.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
But I put it on for you specifically.
If this was Image, I would consider it, says Battlecry. That's fair. I like Image comics
I think
a lot.
I only read like comics if I feel like it's a world that I don't know enough about. Like so, like The Few and the Cursed. Like there's comics based off that I kind of want to read because I want to know more about those characters.
You do the opposite though.
Yeah, I want
most
the game
people.
and then read the comics, not the comics and then play the game.
Exactly. You like watching the movie before you read the book, that sort of thing. But it's in comic ways, you know, like so, like you see some sort of thing for it in a game.
Versus the game might drive me to be more interested in the comics.
Yes, exactly.
But not with the movie book thing. I usually read the book first.
For The Walking Dead, you're like, oh, this is a really great show.
Yeah, I watch the show and then I read the graphic novel.
Right,
yeah, exactly.
It's always secondary for you, whereas a lot of people that is not the secondary portion
because it's
for them.
secondary fun.
Oh no! I'm so sorry, Chad.
It's tertiary fun. It's fun on the third level.
Dragon Ball Z or bust. Never cared about any anime other than Akira and Dragon Ball Z and that new Castlevania. All good ones. You need to look up the Evangelion series, super great. And what was the other one that we had just watched the other day? Oh, there's the giant one. Attack on Titan is really, really good. Yeah. You need to watch.
Which we haven't even finished that one still.
Oh, there was another really great one that I really, really liked.
We were just watching Neverland on like HBO Max, which was crazy.
Gosh, there are so many Nosferatu. Let's start a thread for that on Discord or something like that.
Petter says if you're reading the Walking Dead comics, no wonder you don't like comics. They suck. Like you've read manga and stuff, and I just never really got into that either.
I have. I've read a lot of manga.
Just differences.
There's a ton
I've watched a lot more movies than she has. Does that count for something? I probably am more of a movie buff than I am a comic buff.
All right, Dr. Gloryhogg, what do you think on this campaign?
For me, it just it's a no for right now.
It's a no for you right now.
I would definitely play it, but I just don't think this is the one that I have to have. Does that make sense? My hype is at an adequate level, but not at an overwhelming level.
This one starts at 49, and
the real question is, are you so
99.
excited?
I don't know. I don't know why I'm not so excited about this one. I like it. I like everything going into it. I really like the comic. I almost just kind of want to like read the comic at this point. I want to read the comic and then come back to this and be like, oh yeah, I want to get this because I am really invested in the comic portion of this. I think it's a fantastic campaign though, and I love what they're doing with it. Like I love the miniatures. The miniatures look amazing in it. And I really like Richard Lanius's work. Yeah. So I feel like if you are interested in this sort of thing, you should definitely back this. But I am putting this on my reserve for now.
I think it's definitely worth backing at the 99 though for these cool minis. Like I think that's a big thing.
This is a good question. So is this a Kickstarter or exclusive, or will it go to retail?
Well, it's got a regular level and then it's got a deluxe. So I would imagine that means it'll go retail.
And if you are on the fence on this, you can play this on Tabletopia. They do have a link for this on the Kickstarter right now for Tabletopia, where you can play ahead of time and figure out if this is the game for you, because I really do like the fact that you are still playing as superheroes. You have like your two alter selves, your superhero self, and then like your secret, you know, regular self and everything, and then like you go through and it's very cute.
Am I the only one who was a superhero? I would just always be in costume. Like, why even have other clothes?
I wouldn't want to read the comics to like the game. That's fair, Marie. That's a fair thing. But I feel like for me, the theme of it, like I would have to be more engrossed in the comics, or like, you know, to pull in the rest of the theme. Because this is a bunch of comic book characters that I don't know about. So I'm like, oh, like these people look amazing,
books
but
are kind of gross.
How dare you?
Hashtag agree.
How dare you? Welcome back, Kabuki Kid. We're good to finally have your attention.
And Kabuki agrees. Comics are gross.
No, Kabuki does not agree. Kabuki, you can't put words in Kabuki's mouth. Our next game, which is
a trilogy, like the best trilogy, Lord of the Rings.
All right, so this is the Poketto Collection by Poketto Games, which was formerly 524 Labs. This is 3 individual games, which is Starforge, The Blessed Dark, and Castle Siege.
Right. When you say 524 Labs, that's the people that do like Mint Delivery, Mint Co-op.
All the Mint 10 games.
Right, Mint
absolutely. So they are skilled in putting together little games and little Mint 10s, which is adorable. I love it. And these are 3 titles that they have actually pulled from developers that were less known, I think, in the community, and putting them together to like make. So you might have seen some of these in other places. Like we originally backed The Blessed Dark, and we played that game because that one was for 2 to 4 players, like a little take that game, and like you're basically summoning demons from the deck.
That was a fun little pocket game.
It was.
I mean, it's a dice placement essentially because you're rolling dice, or not placement, but you're rolling dice and then using that to trigger abilities. And is that engine building, like dice with engine building? What would you call that?
I would say it's engine building because you're putting those down, and then at that point you're trying to roll dice, and hopefully they'll fit those criteria so you can launch those special powers. You know?
Because you have cards that you're putting out and stuff.
Is heckin' interesting right here.
The Castle Siege?
The Castle Siege, you don't need to play this at a table. Like, these were 3 like incredibly interesting games.
He just dabbed all over that guy.
Incredibly interesting games.
I want someone to dance like that whenever like I say like a sick pun to you and you're like, what? And then I'm like,
so I noticed a lot of game IPs are starting comics now. Yes, because people are trying to get in the mainstream media market. Nosferatu, and mainstream, you go for items that people already know in a bigger market, and then you're going to bring them to board games and hopefully bring those people to the board games. Because, I mean, video game companies do it so well, where they will launch something with a video game IP. Like, be
honest, if I looked at you like that and I laughed and I like started like grabbing my little chin hairs, you would try to punch me, right?
I'd probably give you a little burrito slap. I'd probably give you a little burrito slap.
You'd get mad. You'd get mad. But you flip and rage. So when we played Castle Siege, because she actually did a preview for this one, I just threw the cards at her when I got mad.
I love that. How do you, no table, what do I flip and rage?
Yeah, you just gambit throw your cards at everybody. I think everyone who watches our playthroughs has seen me gambit throw stuff. Like, I'm just...
That's exactly it. You gambit throw your cards, yeah. Don't charge them ahead of time, though. You don't want it maximum destruction, okay?
That's fair.
In this campaign, though, you can choose whether you want
each individual one?
Yes, exactly. Which I think is really important, because if there's one that you already have or one that you're not as excited about because of, say, player count or something like that, or maybe it's not your cup of tea, those particular mechanics you can choose, which I really like.
And I think they're trying to add solo modes to all of these. I remember seeing something where they were talking on Facebook about that. Like right now they don't have solo modes, but they're working on it. So that could be, so if you're interested, maybe keep this one on your watch list. I like the little pocketbook thing you get, little passport with the stickers, where you can like mark the ones that you played and stuff. I feel like I need that for like Tiny Epic, so I can show it off and be like, I do like Tiny Epic, look!
And be like, ta-da!
And then show people like my identification. Ta-da! Or think about it, when someone says, let me see your papers, you just bust that out and you're like, here's my passport. Poketto.
And be like, you want to play Starforge?
There you go. I think that's probably the one I'm most interested in is the Starforge.
Hello, Mepper. How are you doing?
We also already have Blessed Dark.
Right, we already have Blessed Dark.
But I can see backing Starforge. I mean, obviously we already have it here, so I don't have to back it, but I could see backing Starforge based off what I saw.
For pocket-style games, these are 3 incredibly interesting and unique games from themselves. Like, 3 completely different games, which I really liked. Starforge has the most amazing spaceship building in it. Like, I fell in love with Starforge's like spaceship building. I really did. I was like, oh my gosh, you can be the goo and make these little alien spaceships with little aliens. Oh, so cute.
I'm dying because I'm being called the great value version of Gambit. Like the off-brand. That's fair. That's fair. I'm somehow like just not as nutritious, but cheaper.
I can especially when you get your hair up, like you get your hat off and you get your hair up all crazy and stuff. Like you can be the off-brand Gambit. Yeah, I can see that.
I can throw this hat at somebody. I used to practice throwing cards at people. I don't know what useful skill I thought that would become, but I used to take cards and throw them at my brother all day while watching TV.
It was so cool back then because
I had a very awesome life.
Gambit was the best.
Yeah, I loved throwing cards at people too. I used to always just try to tag people in the face with cards, even in school, and I'd get in trouble.
Such a cute little scamp. Such a cute little scamp. I don't understand why. I don't understand
why. The Kmart Gambit. and it's spelled like that too. Gambit. The Kmart
Gambit.
Super off-brand.
Oh my gosh. That's so fantastic.
They should have that for Marvel Champions. We have a passport for each character you played. I agreed. I like things like that.
That would be really cool. So with Castle Siege and everything.
I don't know why, but I need to have that.
I thought Castle Siege had such unique playability on that with having it all in between your fingers like that and stuff. Like, what a great game to just take with you and play anywhere. Like,
Imagine being at a Gen Con in line, just throwing your cards at your opponent.
Well,
People like, get back in line.
I was just kind of impressed by all three of them being so different because that doesn't, I don't know, like 3 little pocket games that you can take around with you everywhere. I was impressed. I was impressed, everyone. I like it. I'm going to be backing one of these.
Yeah.
It's going to be Starforge.
I was going to say, if we didn't already have Blessed Dark, I could see Blessed Dark and Starforge. I'm not as interested in Castle Siege, that style of game. But, but you're also saving, like, I think, like $5 or $10 getting all 3 of them. So, like, you might as well. Could you get that for, like, $5?
Okay, here's the deal, everyone. Here's the deal.
Was it 35 for all of them? Yeah.
You get all of them, and then you gift the one you don't want, or ones you don't want, for the holidays, because the holidays, well, I guess they probably won't be up for the holidays. For next holiday, you hold on to that sucker, and you gift the other ones, okay? But you get the ones you want, because you're right. I mean, if it's a $5 difference or something like that, like, why not get all of them, right?
Oh my gosh. Nosferatu Clown said they went as Rogue and as Gambit, and everybody at their work was like, what movie are they in? Oh yeah, I would have quit that job immediately. That's bad. We have one, we actually have a character up in, we got it at Phoenix Comic Con, that's me as Wolverine, and then her as Phoenix.
Oh yeah, that's right. We'll have to show that picture.
We decided I'm not Cyclops. No. To be fair.
The picture's the best, though. Like, it perfectly captures Dr. Gloryhogg says. And yes, get all 3, and then we'll do a Patreon giveaway. Obviously.
Wait, you're not Gambit? Oui, it's me, Gambit. It's me, Gambit. I can just see saying that.
Oh, that's the best.
I wish I had cards to throw right now. Quick, give me those dice. He can charge anything, not just cards. Give me those dice. I always wonder why he didn't just charge enemies, just straight up, like, charge and then just walk away. Boom!
I guess, right? Because it's, like, all organic matter. I don't know, maybe that would just make a really big mess. And it was a kid's show in the you know, like,
the best part of that X-Men show is the very first episode when you meet Morph.
We went back and watched that recently, so yeah. Gambit throws meeples, dice, and bricks.
I don't want to issue a giant spoiler alert here, but don't get too attached to Morph. There's a reason why I forgot about that character. If you missed the first 2 episodes, you just never met him.
If you go back and watch it, the first episode, Morph was in there. I was like, what the?
Who's this guy?
I don't remember him being in the shows at all. Like, I don't remember him being in the show at all. And then, like, the next show following, you're like, oh, that's why I don't remember. Okay.
Exploding dice trays?
All right, Dr. Gloryhogg, would you back this campaign?
I forgot which one it was. Yes, I want Starforge.
I want Starforge really bad. Yeah, Starforge looks amazing. We already have the Blessed Dark. Like, we're 3 in.
To be fair, if I was Gambit, I would be throwing foil magic cards, but they'd be like foil commons, so like they would look flashy, but they wouldn't be worth anything. Like 5 cents each. And I'd be counting in my head, there goes $1 worth of murder.
Nosferatu says, I want Starforge and Blessed Dark.
There.
Blessed Dark has such a fun theme, and those little red cubes in it.
For $5 more, get the pack, including the passport, in case you want to travel overseas this year.
Dun, dun. Well, in case you want to travel, I don't know, playing games or something. You can't travel overseas with that passport. That's not that type of passport, okay? Who remembers the X-Men one-shot that preceded the series? Wolverine had an Australian accent.
I'm gonna have to
I
look
don't
that up
remember that at all.
Is that how Hugh Jackman got it? That's it, huh?
I don't remember that. Gambit only charges blue nope cards.
He just plays with exploding kittens. Noposaurus Rex.
Oh my gosh, you all are amazing. Foil lands and accidentally throws a foil dual lay.
That would be horrible. I have a couple of those and I would be so sad.
All right, moving on. We have Veiled Fates. So Veiled Fates is by 4 Studios.
It should be more email, like with a veil in front of their face.
This, for some reason, I didn't write down the player count.
Why?
I don't know.
It's like 2 to 800.
I was going to say...
It's right there.
I think it's 8. Yeah, up to 8. Now this is... Oh, yeah.
This is when I talked about this on the Hype Train, how that I am like a weird combination of these two. Like I could be their son because we got Glasses Guy and Beard Guy, and I feel like their powers combined equals one Dr. Gloryhogg.
Spoilers, this has the most amazing music in it. I just want the music, first off. I want whatever music they used in this because, like, I don't know what it was. It was like some crazy 80s, like,
So,
it was good.
I'm sorry. Jim Gardner's saying, hey, Doc, I fired a Desert Eagle with a friend, and every time he fired it, he'd say $1.50.
Yeah.
That's because, yeah, they were $1.50 every round. I've actually done that same thing. Because that gun got super popular after Snatch, and then everybody wanted to have a Desert Eagle. Because your gun says...
that makes sense.
Replica, and mine says Desert Eagle .50.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it got super popular. We sold them at the gun shop I used to work at, and I used to tell people, I'm like, you're going to be spending $1.50 to $2 per round, just so you know that it's going to be like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and my wrist is broke. So, just saying.
So Veiled Fate is a deduction game where you're playing a god, and then you have like your little spawns running around and doing little biddings for you, but you're trying to hide who your spawn is because like you don't want them to get axed off, basically.
You say spawn, but yeah, it's like a demigod. Your
well,
spawn.
that's the god's spawn.
It's because you're thinking
like
about
a little
McFarlane
demigod
again, aren't you? He's too old for you. Move on.
Listen, back in the day, it was so exciting as a kid, and like I came in there and I got stuff signed. I was like, I couldn't even talk. I was like, oh my God.
Mepper's never seen a magic card. Mepper, I'm going to send you a package.
Mepper. How dare you?
Shiklops and Wolverine. I like these. Actually,
it was
I feel
sick
like
loops.
I think somebody. Oh, there you go. I think somebody needs to make these into cards. You can draw.
No. This is like how we need to dress up for Halloween. So you can be Gambit. I don't want to be Wolverine or Sick Loops. I want to be a Phoenix. Make up a Phoenix one,
It should be
Petter.
Phoenix, but like Phenix or something like that, and I'll be like.
Or it could be like the Phoenix, because like the fake Phoenix.
There you go. Phoenix. PH.
Hello, Jay Peters. How are you doing? Morph is lame enough to be his own knockoff.
That's
Burn. So much burn. So much burn.
We decided that Morph is 100% like our kid in the way she laughs.
All right. Back to Veiled Fates. Oh my gosh. Our thing is just like, whew.
Well, we started talking about X-Men and we got all crazy.
We're off it today.
Foxnix. There you go.
Okay.
Phoenix.
I really, really like the fact that this has the secret card portion of the game where you go through and you're trying to like do certain tasks, and you need multiple people on there to be able to do it, and then you put down like your little fate card, and those get mixed up, and then you see like if somebody tanked that or not. I'm a super big fan of that in deduction games in general, because, well, as long as people correctly mix it up, I want to say.
I like what you're saying. I have to agree. It's cool that it seems like it's pretty easy to play, right? Because you got the feathers or the scorpions. You were trying to like secretly keep your person, like get them a lot of renown, but kind of keep a secret.
Also
so
keep
you're
a
trying,
secret,
right?
yeah.
So you're trying to like kind of spread that love,
Right.
so nobody knows who's yours. And yeah, there's a lot going on with this game. I think the biggest thing is at 2 players, there's a little bit more randomness to it because when you add fake cards, normally if you have 3 or 4 players, or if you have more players, if it has to add in fake cards, like some of the different locations will have you add in fake cards, you pick somebody to add in fake cards. So you can kind of almost maybe get some information from them or pick people you think might have a vested stake in helping you out or something, right? Make like little secret alliances. But with just 2 players, you just add in 2 random ones from the fate deck, and I think that can really, means it's going to be really hard to decipher who's doing what.
This is going to have to be like an incredibly close game too, because you want to pull ahead with your demigod, but you don't want to like
broadcast it.
Be too ahead of everything.
Because then nobody else is going to help it. Everyone's going to try to hurt it.
Yeah, otherwise everybody's going to know, you know? Like, I see where you're going there. I see where you're going there.
Have you met my brother Bloob?
Magneto! Professor Y.
It's Magneto, but he has the power to control mac and cheese only. He can do whatever he wants with macaroni.
All right, so in this game here, we had actually talked about this on the hype train a little bit. They have like a bunch of really cool stuff in this campaign.
Oh,
so you
it's
can
so
bring
beautiful looking. Like, oh, here's the big news about this one. They added a whole new pledge level. So they realized that not everybody wanted to get in at like the $89 or whatever it was. So they added this $50 pledge level that's like the light level, which they just added, which is very interesting. That very successful campaign. And then they're like, you know what? We think we can do this at a lower level with like, you know, some of the extras like not in there as far as like the upgraded components and everything. And there's like that option now, which I think is actually really good.
Which was really, really nice. Yeah, because you have your 49, 65, 85, and 145 version.
Yeah, because you can get like metal and all kinds of stuff.
The 145 version goes straight to like metal meeples and stuff. So you're getting like a heavy like
you got to make it metal.
Like it reminds me of like an old Axis and Allies game or something like that. Or you know where you have like all the old...
do that too with like the metal pieces?
Yeah, Dracoon did do that too. But like it adds like a sort of, I don't know, it adds a feel to your game is what it does whenever it has like those heavy metal meeples in it, you know? The Lazy Susan level pledge? No, but you can get this amazing looking board here. And once I scroll down to it, which we had talked about on Hype Train a little bit, that DrGloryhogg had like this whole story about it being
I'm pretty sure
this
that
one.
the guy that does the table burning things for Game of Thrones or makes them aftermarket, I'm not sure which, did this, and they know him, and that's how they were able to get one of these at such a good price.
Okay, so when you say deduction, are you trying to guess who is who and hide your stuff sort of deduction? Yes. So you are...
It's one of those ones, kind of like when we talked about endangered orphans, where you have somebody you're kind of trying to protect without everybody knowing it.
Yes.
Right? So you're trying to like make sure that other people get points and renown while also making sure yours gets the most renown.
Right, exactly. So you can tank other people's figures and stuff like that, but that gives other people information as to who you are, which I think is really interesting because you're not necessarily playing other players, you're playing the board is what you're doing in this game because everybody's getting their information directly from the board, not from the social deduction like, Right.
It's kind of a way of playing social deduction without a whole bunch of like...
Are you a werewolf? Are you a werewolf?
A lot of this.
Oh God, he's a werewolf. He's a werewolf, everyone.
She caught me.
You know?
It'd be better for people that are like less talkative, right?
Yes, absolutely. It would be better for people who are less talkative because you're judging specifically by the actions that are happening in the game versus off of just a discussion around a table and what's happening.
Which you always really like that part about like resistance or even Dead of Winter whenever you start flipping the cards and you're like, it failed.
DrGloryhogg is kind of sus. Absolutely. Like all the time. All the time sus.
To be fair, I played about 1 million different trader mechanism games with her, and it's almost always her.
Social deduction equals new phone. Who dis?
Basically, that's fair.
That's a whole new game in itself. Like you can absolutely make that your own game at home.
I'm not sustainable, Petter. I cost way more than I make. It is a bad balance.
Hello, Jeremy. How are you doing? I'm very worried about Veiled Fate. This publisher doesn't have a proven product, and their first game just arrived. They are a great marketing team. Oh, thank you so much, Jeremy, for giving those comments. We really appreciate that. That helps out a lot with our decisions and everything. Yeah.
They did just deliver Moonraker, so at least they waited till that one was like being delivered before they launched this one. Unlike one of the other campaigns we were talking about that, like, was it Ludius Studio, I think it was, or I can't think of it off the top of my head, where they have like 8 different projects going right now under like 8 different names.
That was that Sandy Peterson?
No, we talked about that one before too, though. Yeah. There's another big campaign going right now.
I know that Moonrakers...
Nova Vetus.
The pre-production copy of Moonrakers that we had received, and this
pretty.
was before, you know, the Kickstarter had went out to everybody. That seemed like almost a final production product as it was. So I don't know what the getting lost in translation thing was for them. But I know that if that was my sell for that one was, hey, here's the pre-production copy. It's really, really nice. Like, they obviously know what they're doing. Right, exactly. And that was my thoughts on that one. But thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Let's see here.
They do have a great marketing team, though, because even when this campaign first launched, there wasn't a lot of information on it. It was just a whole bunch of, like, visuals.
Yes.
But to be fair, I'm going to hashtag copy those visuals because they look awesome. Sorry.
So it's all about the visuals for you?
Yeah, they are pretty good.
It's all about them visuals. That does not surprise me, Doctor. That does not surprise me. See, Silver Liam says, I'm very happy with Moonrakers. Okay, very good, very good.
There it is.
Ludius Magnus Studios.
Yeah, they have like 19 I'm exfoliating. That's not it.
No.
I'm expandiating. No, that's not it. I'm extrapolating. They have a lot of different campaigns going with different names because like that one company owns like 5 other little companies.
Yes,
it's intense.
We had talked about that a little bit.
You could miss it very easily and be like, oh, they've only got one campaign going, but they got like 5 or 6 going.
I don't always enjoy talking about. Well, we usually try not to talk about a bunch of those type of companies that are doing that runaround because I don't feel like it's very honest for people and getting their games out to them in a. Like, how can you make a quality game if you have, like, 7 different games on the book?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, how are you using all of the time of your artists and just everything that goes, you know, people reading the rules for the games, creating the content and everything, and have them focus on, like, 7, 8, 9, 10 different projects and stuff like that? That doesn't seem like a good option. Like, stuff gets missed at that point, you know? Seriously, their marketing is definitely from outside the industry stuff.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah,
well, now I'm just curious.
It seems like very different than what you normally get for board games.
Now I'm just curious about like who their marketing team is. is.
Nosferatu's happy because he's got his unicorn fever.
Oh, unicorn fever looks so good. All right, Dr. Gloryhogg, what are you thinking about this campaign?
So I want to back this one. I could see backing it maybe at the cheapest level, mostly because it's got some good stuff going for it. The only thing I'm worried about is I feel like it's going to really, I think the worst version of it's going to be at 2 players. And so that's the only thing I'm worried about. If we were getting together in a bigger gaming group right now, I could see it being very interesting and wanting to try it out. But with us mostly playing 2 players, I just don't know if it's 100% like I have to buy it right now.
Okay, that's very fair. I really like the new pledge level they have for the $49. I feel like that's something more that I would back just because it's a social deduction game. We're not playing a whole lot of social deduction games right now. I really like, though, the fact that it's not based upon just talking around the table, that it is 100% based off of actions on a board and actions with your cards that you're laying down and stuff like that, that the majority of your interactions with players are based upon actual physical things that are happening instead of just people saying things, you know? Like, I love social deduction games, and social deduction games with people doing a lot of talking back and forth are a lot of fun. But I think I prefer, like, a logical social deduction game.
Heather says when you get this in 2022, we'll either all be dead or in game groups or playing games as ghosts. You know, honestly, if the pandemic keeps going like it is, we might be better off getting into small groups of 5 or 6. And Jeremy, start moving houses together.
Right. And Jeremy says, I don't think it's honest, but I know that if you want a cycle of business to keep the funds going, we've got to learn more about business now. We have to question now. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Like, that's a whole other thing, too. Like, the whole cycle of business and having their funds coming in, and are they paying for, like, this
previous campaigns with this new campaign and all of that. Yeah. I mean, if they are, that's a bad model. I'm not saying they are. But we don't like it when they've got a whole bunch of outstanding campaigns going, even with companies that we normally like.
Absolutely.
We've covered a couple of their different campaigns. They've just all been under like different names.
There's been times when I would not talk about some Come On games because they were too backlogged at points where I was like, all right, I'm going to stop talking about these because they're not getting these other things done. Like, you can clearly see things slipping as they go, you know?
And it makes a big difference if there's a bunch of updates, too. Because, like, if you know something's coming, like, it's going to be weird to get, like, Title Blades and Valor Villainy, like, at the same time. Like,
it is, because, like, those are 2 completely different things that we backed.
Yeah, 2 completely different times. Yeah. But we already had a relationship with James Hudson and stuff like that, so I was, like, never really worried about that aspect.
Right.
But even then, if they had 4 more out, I'd be like, this is getting to be a lot. Like, any company that has, like, a couple of them out at the same time, it's like, how much time are you devoting to each project?
I 100%
before you just
agree.
Pick out the next one.
100% agree with that.
That's just my thoughts.
Ghost gaming.
Maybe when ghosts are scaring you, that's just a game to them. It's
I
like
wish
hide and go seek that you didn't want to play.
I wish Ghosts would play in my house.
They're playing hide and go seek. You just didn't know you were playing. Found you! Ah! You know, there you go. Right? Ghosts are just playing hide and go seek. They're not even out to really hurt you.
Then why is it always in the shower? Like, why do they, like, scare you in the shower?
Because they find you. They thought you were hiding, and they're trying to find you. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not saying all ghosts are smart.
New ghost. Who this?
That ghost that can kind of sus.
All right. Next up here we have
Townsfolk
Tussle by Panic Roll. This, you know what? I didn't even write down the player count on this one here and stuff like that because
it's 1 to 8,000. You can probably scroll down. I'll probably say what it is.
First off, the art in this.
It's 2 to 5 players. I read it.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Are you done?
I read the thing. I was helping you out.
All right. First off, I have to say that this game looks really interesting, and I've heard a lot of really interesting content from these people and everything, right? I did launch a quote, or not, I guess, I talked about something on Twitter.
Yeah.
Which I've mentioned before in my Kickstarter shows about making sure that people include reviewers and previewers that are people of color, and women, and just getting more people involved. And this campaign has, and I feel really bad because this is I've not heard of Panic Roll before, so I'm not trying to like specifically call them out specifically. However, I really feel that in the future, this is going to be one of the criteria that I'm going to look at. If people are including everybody in their projects, I feel like it's really important. I've been told that this particular project that the creators are diverse. And Jeremy is saying, I will not support this project for several reasons. Jeremy, I would love to know exactly why, because here's the thing, everyone. How many Kickstarters do we talk about every week? We talk about 4 Kickstarters
at least,
every single week. 52 weeks in a year.
It's a lot of Kickstarters.
It's a lot of Kickstarters. That's a lot of games. We have choices, everyone, on who we want to back and who we don't. And I am so tired of not seeing
some diversity.
Diversity.
Right, okay.
Diversity.
In reviewers and previewers and all that.
Also, and, you know, in designers and everything. This goes out to everybody, really. You know, it can be in the art and everything. I see it because I see the review and previewing end, because as we're going through these, reviewing these every week, I don't always have every single game in my hand. I try to get the ones in my hand that I can get to make my own opinions based off of it. But there's certain reviewers and previewers and stuff like that that I rely on that are more like me, you know? And I feel like that's important, getting everybody's opinion instead of just one single person or one type of community's person's opinion on a game.
Well, that's why you want to go to a channel that has like multiple perspectives, right?
Right.
Like you want to go to, like if I'm going to, for example, for Man vs. Meeple, I like what Kira has to say. Because
Absolutely.
I feel like I play very similar to her. If I'm watching, you know, when I was watching Dice Tower and stuff, I would listen to Sam Healy because I felt like liked the same games I liked, right? But you want to find like people that are just, that match up with you in your review style. But if it's always the same people all the time and there's no diversity, I can see how that could be definitely an issue.
And Nosferatu, there's not a bunch of drama, I would say.
I think it's just that there's like 9 reviews/previews and they're all from the white male perspective,
just a lot. Like if you're going, and some of them were probably paid, some of them were not and stuff like that. And I understand that they may be newer to the board game market and everything, but there's plenty of people of color, reviewers and do previews and do like all sorts of different types of content that, like, if you're not out, I mean, you can't be blind to it. Like, they're everywhere at this point, you know? Like, you can't just wander around on Twitter and Facebook and not see a person of color or a female reviewer at this point.
Right.
People
Girls
on
Game Shelf, Before We Play. There's a bunch.
People on Twitter are like, but all of them were busy. What?
Did someone actually say all of them were busy?
Yeah, maybe all of them were busy. And I was like, no, not all of the people. Can't have everybody
5.
busy. I know, there's not 5 people that we're talking about.
That's fair.
You know, I bet you could even go ahead and go through, and if you really liked, what is it, like the Delps, you know?
Yeah, at least that's from a couple.
Right. At least it's from a couple. At least you have, like, some other input in there. Like, you know, if you go to Man vs. Meeple, I bet you could probably ask him if Jeremy could go ahead and preview and review your game. Like, there are options out there from really big name companies, and there's no reason for there to be a campaign anymore. And for me to be like, I'm backing this campaign when there's, you know, 300 or 400 other games I've reviewed this year. Like, it's just, I think I'm going to have to go ahead and, like, put my foot down on some stuff, everyone.
So some people in chat are confused. So I don't know what Jeremy was talking about when he said that there's a reason why he didn't want to back it.
Right.
What she's saying is, from her perspective, there's not enough diversity in the reviewers or previewers.
Right.
It's just all white males. It's 9 of them. That's why she's saying that that's putting a bad taste in her mouth for this particular game.
It automatically...
To have so many and then not even attempt to include anybody else.
It automatically starts me out on a bad foot, because I scroll through and I watch the campaign video, I scroll through the entire thing, I read all of this stuff, and then I go to many of the reviewers and previewers' videos and I watch them. Like, I watch them, and there's specific ones that I love watching because, like you said, you know, they're more along my mindset and everything. And to scroll down and just see the same cis male white previewers, I'm like, the same ones, I'm like, okay, well, they didn't take the time to just, like, find, like, one person, you know? Like, and if I have over 300 games to choose from, through 400 games to choose from, you know, over the course of a year, like, this is almost no sweat off my back. And it becomes, like, where am I going to put my money at?
Okay.
You know,
That's
does
fair.
that make sense? Overall, the game looked good to me. I watched Quackalope's review on it and stuff with this, and his comparison to Kingdom Death Monster and stuff like that. And I thought he did a lovely job talking about the game and everything. I love the art, and that's like Cuphead, because I think that's so, like, I love that art style and everything in the game. But there comes a point in me and doing this Kickstarter show where I have to kind of like just put my foot down and be like, all right, I may mention something about a game, but I will not be backing this because of my standards are being raised. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That makes sense? Does that make sense, chat?
Yeah, that's fine.
So she's highlighting one of the reasons, but I don't want to bash these guys. They are new and a mistake was made. And I totally agree, Jeremy. Absolutely. And I don't want to bash them either. If you are interested in this game, go ahead and back it. But I want to make sure that people are being aware of it, because if you don't create the awareness, like, it just gets pushed under the rug.
No, I agree. So for me, we have different opinions because that tends to happen. For me, if they're new, I give more leniency, and if it wasn't brought up to their attention, because a lot of times they're setting this stuff up for weeks ahead of time and not even probably, I'm thinking from my own perspective, I might not think of it. Now, if it was brought up to them and they were like on Twitter and they're like, well, that's not how we want to spend our money, or that's not how we want to showcase our product, then I'd be like, okay, this is a hard pass, which we've had that happen before. We had that with Devil Pig, where we mentioned something to them and they were just like, well, it's our money, we're going to spend it how we want to. And
yeah,
it was like,
and I was like, all right, and I'm never backing anything from Devil Pig again.
Yeah,
you will never hear me talk about Devil Pig ever again. Yeah.
Except for right now,
Except for right now, and I don't like
But
them.
as far as this game goes, I'm really excited about, I really love the art. I don't have anything with art like this. And I like the idea of a boss battler. We don't have Kingdom Death Monster, so...
Right, absolutely.
This seems like a video game, right? Like, that's like one of the most exciting parts is the boss battle and the different tactics you have to take. So I really like the idea of that being in a board game, and that it's got kind of like a little bit of a narrative to it, and all the characters are unique, and that there's a bunch of really cool and funny and crazy weapons, like you're throwing fish, or using a fishing pole to pull monsters towards you. Everything is just so unique and different. I'm actually pretty excited for the game, minus that one part about, you know, of course, not having enough reviewers of diversity.
Oh, so, okay, so Nosferatu, that's a really good point. I didn't even think about that, and I'm glad you brought it up. I didn't even think about that. I'm going to have to go back and re-look at all the art. I was just thinking, as soon as I saw it, I thought of, like, Cuphead, and I thought of that particular world and how fun that looked, you know? And I think I really like how the funness carries out in this. Like, it reminds me of, like a Roger Rabbit. It's like an adult-themed cartoon.
Right.
Thing, but you still have like cartoon things happening in it, which I like, you know. I loved Roger Rabbit, but like I said, we have so many Kickstarters to choose from. I just don't know if it's something that I personally want to back. Now,
so Stephen Lewis is on. He says, hey, he's one of the game designers, and totally understand what we're saying, but there is some value to looking at the actual team behind the game as well. So maybe if you scroll down, if it shows, maybe there are some more people, more diversity on their actual team. But I think if you're going to have 9 reviewers, if you have 2, sure. If you have 9, I could see your point, definitely.
Stephen, we totally mentioned that in the beginning whenever we started talking about this. Absolutely, that we did hear that you had a diverse crew and everything, which we really, really appreciate. It's just more of making sure that, because I've mentioned this, not just about this one, but it's been, I want to say within the last 2 months, every time I would come across a Kickstarter that had absolutely 0 people of color or female content creators on there. And which is sad, because either of them, like, you just had to have one of them on there. That there was even a couple weeks that we went through where it was like 2 or 3 weeks where every single week, all 4 Kickstarters had none of those things. And I was just like, wow, like, we can do better as a community. Like, we can just do better. So, like, but if you don't point it out, then people won't be aware, and then it won't get fixed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, totally not bagging on the game or anything. The game does look really fantastic and everything. I just know we've been doing this Kickstarter show for how many years now?
A couple, like 3?
I don't know.
Or more, maybe?
It's been a lot of years. We've reviewed a lot of Kickstarters.
Because we've done it in different forms.
You know, yeah, we started it as a podcast and everything, and like, I think it's just time that, like, I personally need to make that stand and just make people aware of it. So, but the figures look amazing. I love these figures.
There's a lot of really good. I will say that the reviewers they picked, though, some of the ones they picked actually make a lot of sense. Because like Quackalope probably made a lot of sense because he's always talking about Kingdom Death Monster. There's been a big comparison between the two.
And he did a very good review on it.
This should be more approachable and easier to get into, and just, well, as Quackalope would say, just it's actually more fun to play because it isn't quite so grimdark.
Right, exactly. It has that fun, cartoonish feel over top of it. Absolutely. It looks interesting. I liked the look of it immediately whenever I started looking through it.
Right.
All right, DrGloryhogg.
Well, geez, if I would have known you were going to go into
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go into this huge rant, but like...
No, it's not about the rant, but this is like my #1 pick. I was most excited about this one, so I'm like, ooh.
Well, it's
that
good.
makes it tough because we're buying together. So
it's good, though.
Right, and to be fair, it's not something that I immediately think about.
This is a newer publisher, so...
Oh, see,
it's
Rachel
one of those things.
Is saying that they did reach out to female reviewers, but the ones they reached out to didn't work out for.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rachel. We really appreciate that commentary.
I don't think it's worth being scared. So, okay, which is good. I'm glad they're actually on. So, between Rachel and Steven, there are people of diversity to help build this game, and they did reach out to other reviewers, and some of them just weren't able to fit it in. That's fair. That at least it looks like there was an attempt that was made.
Thank you so much for reaching out and being in our chat today.
So there's no reason to be about scared backing this game. I think instead of highlighting just specifically this game, it's just important to have more diversity in general, I think, which makes sense.
This game was just like one of those things where it was like the straw that broke the camel's back. I have no ill will towards this campaign or anything like that. It was just several months of me seeing this stuff happen, okay? And calling it out.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest, this is still my #1 pick of the week.
#1 pick of the week.
This is the one that I want to back.
85 bones.
I am stupid in love with the art, and I really, really, really want the idea of a Kingdom Death Monster, but not Kingdom Death Monster. I want something that's more approachable, easier to play, and one-shots. I like the stupid stuff. Like, this dude right here with the fish on his head, he has to be by a pond in order to throw his fish, and then he's got, like, since he's got long, loopy arms, he can hit like a boss monster from like 4 spaces away and then drag them to him. I can just picture him doing that, being like flopping a fish at somebody and then grabbing his fishing boat and like boop, zzz, and bringing him in. Like, I don't know. For me, that's like a total win.
Does it come with a soundtrack? That would be fantastic, right?
I think it's being compared to Kingdom Death Monster. I've heard that by like 3 different people. I think it's solely because it is a boss battle with unique characteristics per each boss that you're fighting. And then, like, even the bosses have, like, different levels, and there's a whole bunch of different items you can have. So it's really kind of a wacky, fun way to have this boss monster battle type game, right? So it's like if you're talking about, I think Kingdom Death Monster is just the most well-known one like that. That's a boss monster game.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
I was trying to see if it was on, like, I thought I wrote down a couple games that were on, like, Tabletop Sim, but I don't think this was one that I had seen, so. It looks interesting, though. So you really like this one, huh?
So Jay Peters is saying the designers are, there's some designers of diversity, of course, but we're saying that they aren't diverse because of the reviewers. I don't know. I mean, this is definitely something that you brought up. I think she just wanted to see more diversity in the reviews themselves. Typically, when I look up a game, I'm not looking up to see, like, who each person is in every single game and who could have helped with it and who every artist is and all that. It's not something I typically look at.
It's not something you typically look at. It's...
For the artist. So I'm saying, like, so if it's not represented in reviews, I could see why you would say, like, it seems like it's very much, like, one-sided.
Right, exactly. So, like, as you're looking through, you gotta see what's face first. What's face first and the outward public sees, Not everybody is going to go through and do research on designers and, who did the art in a game and everything like that. So it's like you gotta put your best face forward and start with diversity with, like, the first page, And I'm not just talking about based on reviewers and previewers. I'm talking about, like I said, art. Who's doing your art? Who's in your art? Like, do you have diversity in the people that you're representing? Do you have diversity in backgrounds? Like, we had Champions of Hara, right? That had, like,
amazing representation.
Amazing representation and diversity.
Oh, so I guess...
I'm just saying that that's what I want my standard to be, and then I'm not going to get that standard if I don't mention things. That's what I'm saying.
Makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I guess, is it, like, bad enough that it automatically makes it so it's a game that you wouldn't back?
For this particular one, no, just because one, it's a newer publisher, and so I give leniency as they might not know the market and stuff like that. Plus, we had these lovely people in chat today to go ahead and let us know that they did reach out to other reviewers and stuff like that, which makes me feel better as a person. That's why we do this Kickstarter show, is so we can go ahead and get everybody's opinions together and what people are feeling about a different campaign. Like, this is a collective experiment that we have going on here for Kickstarter, so we all can contribute and make the best purchases for us. I'm not here to make a decision for anyone, but I'm here to inform people on the Kickstarter and what's going on with it, right? And who's designing it, and, you know, if you should be backing it, if it's quality components, what they've done in the past and stuff. Like, this is the collective that we've made here, this collective voice. And this is just a small part that I want to add to that collective voice as encompassing. I feel like it got super heavy at the end here. Well, I'm sorry, everyone.
I think it's because you brought it up like at the very beginning before we discussed like the game at all. Okay. So like it makes it hard to like switch modes and just be like, hey, this is what's going on in this game, you know? Like, does that make sense? So it's hard for me to talk about it and be excited about it whenever you drop like this big heavy bomb at the very beginning. Instead of talking about it as like, here's the campaign, here's something I didn't like about the campaign, or here's something that maybe could have used work. It was just like big bomb at the beginning, and it was really hard to like get into anything else after that. It's hard
because it's something that like I always think about, you know what I'm saying? Right. Like as I'm going through and stuff. So if it's at the top of my mind, that's what I'm thinking about whenever I'm looking through the campaign. And so for me, it influences everything I see whenever that happens. And that's like, that's the problem is that I can't scroll through something or scroll through a campaign like that that doesn't have, you know, diversity involved in it and stuff, and not have that in my mind. So I think that's probably why it came up right away, is because I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this looks amazing. I just wish XYZ was fulfilled in my criteria, you know, and more just making sure that like that criteria in the future, that all, you know, I'm going to be talking about this more in the future because I think it's important for our community, you know, like this is, I don't want to have weeks and weeks where I see nobody besides like just white males talking about games and stuff, you know, like I want everybody's opinion, you know? Perception becomes the reality, says Kabuki Kid. That's exactly it, you know? Like, it's that face front perception of something and the judgments that you make based off of that, you know, whenever you first see it, you know? I could be really excited about something, but not be as excited about it because of something like that.
No, I definitely understand. Yeah. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm giving you space to talk about it, because it's not something that, like, obviously I have a different perspective.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, you know,
it's not something that immediately comes to mind, because it's not something I have to worry about every single day. And I know it's not necessarily my place. Like, I'm here to observe, not to...
I appreciate that, Gloryhogg. And thank you so much for everybody in our chat today. Like, giving your opinions and being really kind to everybody and everything. We really appreciate that. You guys are amazing in chat, okay?
So, no, I don't think it's nothing's as visceral like as that, Jay Peters. I don't think it's like we write it down and say, like, this one gets an X or anything like that. I think it's more of when there's a lot and nobody has one, then it's like, okay, well, they didn't even make the attempt. But it does sound like these ones actually did make the attempt.
So, and beforehand, I would say that, especially when we were first getting into Kickstarter and stuff, we were just so excited to see Kickstarter games come to life that wasn't even a thought in our minds. And I don't think I really started noticing a bunch of this until probably this year, you know? And it's one of those things that becomes like a nagging thing that you see more and more and more, and you're like, bah! There's all these wonderful, amazing people that do this stuff. Like, why can't we just get more of these wonderful, amazing people to do this and support them, you know? Because overall, like, I want to see people of color and female content creators succeed, and the only way for those people to succeed is for them to get work, and the only way for them to get work is for somebody to say something about these things and people not giving them work. So, like, it becomes like this cycle. And so, like, if I want to, you know, support those content creators, I need to make sure that I'm using my voice to say something so those content creators can get the love that they need in order to prosper. Because, like, for us to make this show, I had to do like 3 different jobs in order to make this happen at the quality and content that we bring to you guys out here. And I know that not every content creator that has that ability.
Right, and I do think you are taking definitely a deeper dive into it than just the surface level, like, oh yeah, we just looked at the campaign and this is blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You're talking about just in general with most campaigns and everything, what you'd like to see more of, which makes sense.
Absolutely. And like I said, this is like nothing against this campaign at all. It was just like the straw that broke the camel's back. I was like, oh my gosh, you know, like we need more of this in here, you know? So just like when you see the content creators and it bores you and you turn it off.
You see the same ones over and over and over again.
Yes. That also does happen. Absolutely. There's some content creators that...
To be this is not a solicitation for work for us either. We don't do a lot of previews. We do Kickstarter previews, but it's not our main thing. Our main thing is playthrough.
Right.
This isn't her trying to get more work or anything.
No, I'm saying like there's a bunch of amazing people out there that I would like to see get more love because, again, it comes down to the dollars and cents of that for them because, like, if they want a new camera, they got to pay for it out of their funds, but if they're not getting funds, they can't get their new camera to make better content. So like those content creators will always be behind.
Just like the idea of Kickstarter, supporting small.
Yeah. You gotta work some small and diverse people in there, or maybe not just, you know, small people. You get small people here and then maybe diverse people there. Like you gotta work everybody in there and share that love, and then everybody prospers and everybody gets bigger and stuff, you know, like.
So what ended up being your #1 pick this week? Did you even think about that?
That's tough. All right, what was my #1 pick? This was... We know it's your burrito's being spent on. We need the burrito cam. Where's our burrito cam at? Get your burrito.
All right, I still want Townsfolk Tussle.
Townsfolk Tussle for you.
Yeah, I think Townsfolk Tussle, it's definitely the most unique game. It feels a very specific niche that we don't have. I like the art the most. I think it's a reasonable price. I think definitely Townsfolk Tussle is my #1. And they had the people on here talking about it, so, like, there were attempts made.
All right. My #1 this week is Starforge. I just want this stupid, like, I just want the little tiny cute spaceships in the pocket game. And I just want to play it, and oh my gosh, I just want Starforge. I know mine's
as
like,
you can tell,
so
we do not talk about what our #1 is before the show.
I feel like mine is so underwhelming, like, you know, because it's not like this huge grand $100 game. It's like a $10 pocket game, but I really, really want it, and it's my #1. Well, I really want it.
If you didn't already have like Blessed Dark from a previous Kickstarter campaign, would you go for like the whole collection? You think?
I think I would definitely go for the whole collection because that's 3 different games that you're getting at a very reasonable price. I know I personally really, really want Starforge. We already have Blessed Dark, but Blessed Dark would be a great gift for somebody. And I think Castle Siege is a fun game that my kid would really love. That's like a playground game where, like, you're at school or something, or, you know, like, you can just take it out anywhere and play it with somebody.
It gives you an excuse to throw cards at somebody without being Gambit. Got it.
With being Gamut.
No, I'm Gambit, but they can be Gambits.
Oh, let's see here.
But yeah, everybody put up what your favorite game is of this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know what you're backing. Even if we didn't talk about it today, like, let us know what you're backing. We are going to be doing the hype train on the Tabletop Backer Party group for...
Darkest Dungeon.
We actually did not put it on here specifically because we were going to talk about it for our hype train, and we can't review anything for our hype train because it's supposed to be a first-time reaction.
It's a first look.
First looks, okay?
And it comes just after this one. Lost Ones is good. We covered that last week, I believe.
So, yeah, absolutely. Lost Ones was, I believe, it was last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's Greenbrier
That one looks really good. And we love Julie. And
a little campaign game.
Yes, absolutely.
Very affordable.
Let's see here. Anything else?
Nope, I think that is it.
Thank you for everybody who showed up today. We really appreciate you all hanging out with us. And as a final uplifting note here, if you are on Twitter, you can go to my Twitter here, and it is right here. Anna Marie Jackson Phelps put up a lovely little thread here where basically you can just go down and subscribe to a bunch of people of color and female reviewers and previewers if you are not familiar with them. So go ahead and hit that up and, like, show everybody some love, get some new insights, find some new people to hang out with and talk to and everything.
That's
like
awesome.
This is a fantastic thread here, okay?
Kabuki Kid's like, I just bought Darkest Dungeon, the video game. So just skip the middleman, went straight to the video game. Nice. Patterns in for Freedom 5.
I thought
Andrew
about
did
that.
Townsfolk Tussle.
I thought about that because, especially whenever they make a video-based game, like a video-based game.
That was a
Campaign Trail.
That was a big thing. We talked about Campaign Trail, I think, last week.
I think we talked about Campaign Trail last week, too. I'm excited about that one.
Maybe we talked about Lost Ones 2 weeks ago. I don't even know anymore. It all runs together.
It's a lot of talking about
and then I just wait. That's true. That's true, but I remember thinking about that about Frostpunk. I was like, do we want to back the game, or do we want to get it on Steam and just play it on there? We ended up backing the game, though.
Yeah, we ended up backing the game on that one, and Campaign Trail is on our list, and maybe if this week is a lighter week, we can go back and back one of the other ones. Oh, but you really want the other one, though.
Yes.
So maybe
never
not.
a cheap week.
Maybe not. Never mind. Maybe that's how it's going to go. Is there anything else we have coming up? Oh my gosh, this weekend is so busy.
Spiel. So since it's Essence Spiel, we are actually going to be playing Cosmic Colonies and Holly on Saturday and Sunday.
That's right. So stay tuned for that as well.
Some Floodgate games.
And then we will have 2 other playthroughs that we're doing next week and our next week's Kickstarter show. So if you're new here, make sure to like and subscribe to all of our content so you can get notified. Ring that bell whenever we go live, as we do about 90% of our content live, and we love talking to all of you. Thank you so much for everybody who showed up in chat today and hung around with us. We love you so much. You make this show so amazing, and we really appreciate you being on our Kickstarter show and all the publishers that show up here, because it keeps everybody super informed about everything, and I really, really love it. Like, it's my favorite show. I love talking about Kickstarters, and I love talking to everybody about them. It's like, I don't know. It's the best. It's why we keep doing it. Anything else?
Nope.
Nothing from you, Gamut? You don't want to throw a card into the camera or something? Like, what happened? Were you no cards? All right, everyone. We'll see you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.